carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be...
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. America is governed by Americans, and the Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. And so, Ambazonia must be owned and ruled by Ambazonia. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for tuning in tonight. I am so excited to be here with you today. Please, for those of you, as usual, who are joining by way of Facebook, I appreciate you hitting that share button in the next 5 minutes. 700 people within the next 5 minutes. Want to hit at least 1,500 people tonight. So please, once more, thank you for joining. Those of you on ground one, thank you for tuning in. Those of you in all of continental Africa, it's a pleasure to come to you. Thanks for joining too. And those of you in China, all of Asia, with Singapore, of course, the continental USA and all of Europe, including the United Kingdom, thank you for tuning in. And I can't forget all of you who are tuning in from South America. It's a privilege, as usual, to come to your homes with these updates on the state of the Ambazonian struggle. Of course, I am Chris Ano, your communication secretary. Again, we got so much to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. I am so excited about this exclusive interview with Cece Buckley, who will be joining me very, very shortly. But before she does that, I want you to hit that share button. Let us get the social media populated. Let us get the platform populated. Within the next 4 minutes, I want to see at least 700 people. Within the next 4 minutes, at least 700 people. So please hit your share button and let those who do not know the Anchorman is here, let them join the platform, please. We're going to be talking about quite a number of things today, but the top on the agenda will be this exclusive interview with Cece Buckley. But besides that, we're going to be talking about the arrest of No PT's family and another family in Libialum. We'll be also talking about the DMC draft that is coming up at the weekend. We shall also be talking about the last week press conference conducted by Dr. Sako, the interim government, to the Nigerian media that is making the waves out there. And we'll also be talking about this new lobby firm that La Republic Du Cameroon has hired in Washington, D.C. to clean her image and scuttle the efforts of Ambazonia to regain their own country. These are some of the things that we're going to be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. So please, again, as usual, go ahead and you hit your share button. And let's quickly populate this platform. I can see the numbers jumping over 300 already. In the next 3 minutes, please, we want to hit at least 700 people so I can bring in Cece Buckley for this exclusive interview. Hit your share button. And while you do that, I just want to remind all of you about ABC News that started coming to you about a week ago. I am sure that most of you who watch by way of television would have realized that broadcast of ABC is being shut down every time ABC News is to come up, and it takes some hours for it to come back on. The reason is because we are using a single console here at ABC to produce both the news and to bring you regular programming. We are trying to see if we can buy another console with which to record the news and dedicate the original set just for broadcast, so that when we are recording the news, broadcast isn't shut down. That is the reason why you saw that every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday, ABC is shut down, because the news is being produced. But we are looking into that, and we will take care of that very, very soon. So please just be a little patient with us. Again, for those of you watching from Africa by way of television, that is what is happening here. There are not technical issues, or somebody is not shutting you down. It's just the handicaps that we have here in the studio. But we are taking care of that. Now, also about ABC. We here at ABC, we are encouraging everyone on ground zero in Ambazonia. We want you to become a citizen reporter, a citizen journalist, and not just to write for free. If you can report news from ground zero, from your county, from your local government area, we promise you to compensate you, and you can actually make a little extra income reporting news, stories to ABC, Amber TV. All you need to do is when things happen around you, use your phone, go out, take the videos, and forward them to us. Forward them to ABC with the story. If we are able to verify the story to make sure it is authentic, we publish the story, we will pay you for using your video and your story for the news. And please, when you go out to take videos, do not hold your camera like this. We don't like images, videos that are taken like this. We like you holding your camera like this when you take videos meant for ABC. Because when you hold your camera like this, you will have the full image on the screen when it is presented here. So again, we are empowering you on ground zero in particular. You see anything happening, take the video, write the story, forward to us. If we use it here at ABC, we will pay you for it. Doesn't matter where you are, especially. This is why this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Lots and lots of things are going on ground zero, and we just can never report them all, because we never can have reporters going into those areas. Lots of things are happening in the remote areas where nobody gets to, no reporter gets to, no journalist gets to. Only the people in the community can report what is happening in their own communities. So that is why we are empowering you. If you live in any community, be a reporter, a citizen reporter in that community. Take the videos, write the stories, forward them to us, and we will be more than excited to publish your story. But not only publish your story, we will actually pay for your stories. So please do so. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, something is happening. La Republic du Cameroon has become so frustrated that they are beginning again to hire a lobby firm in Washington, D.C. A lobby firm in Washington, D.C. To lobby on their behalf, to clean, let me use the word cleanse their reputation, if they had one anyways, in Washington, D.C. The name you find on your screen, Wayne Vallis, or Vallis Associates, LLC, is a lobby firm in Washington, D.C. that the regime of Paul Biya in Yaoundé has hired to clean their image in Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is an assignment for every Ambazonian, an assignment for every Ambazonian out there. What you need to do, this is an actionable item, an action item. What you need to do is to go to Twitter. Every Ambazonian, get to Twitter and tweet about this law firm. And your message should be They should stop aiding and abetting genocide by the regime, by the Paul Biya regime in Yaoundé. That the money they collect from that government, from that regime, is blood money. It's blood money, and urge them. Ambazonians beg them. Southern Cameroonians beg them to steer away, ladies and gentlemen, from any contract with La Republic du Cameroon to lobby on their behalf. Let them know the money they receive from French Cameroon is blood money. Now, this is what the Cameroon government has sent out to them. The suggestion that the Cameroon government has put out to them. The Cameroon government is saying to them, dear Mr. Vallis, as a follow-up to our initial contact meeting of last October in your Washington, D.C. office on the above subject, and given the high importance of the, I can't read that. It is my something to inform you that the government of Cameroon is willing to further discussions with your firm in view of a formal lobbying contract for an initial period of 12 months. The terms of reference we propose for such a contract could be as follows. Strategic counsel and government relations. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what La Republique du Cameroon wants this lobby firm, Vallis and Associates in Washington, D.C., to do for them. It says strategic counsel and government relations. Among the specific tasks, I'm sorry, my eyes are not very good with this font size. It says, for your firm to carry out the following: identification of high-level political and corporate decision makers in Congress and in the executive branch to serve to champion for Cameroon. I think you guys get it, ladies and gentlemen. I think you guys get it. That this statement, I think, is circulating out there. And please, we, as we've done before, can actually stop this lobby firm in Washington, D.C. from championing the genocidal regime, their plans in French Cameroon. And what we can do, again, is going to Twitter and tweeting Vallis Associates LLC in Washington, D.C., telling them not to lobby for French Cameroon, telling them they accept any money from Cameroon to lobby on their behalf, it is blood money. And please refer them to the website AmbazoniaGenocideLibrary.com. AmbazoniaGenocideLibrary.com. Refer them to that website. Let Vallis and Associates or Vallis Associates let them know exactly what is going on in that country. People with conscience will not take any lobby job, ladies and gentlemen, for La Republique du Cameroon. People with conscience will not take it, and I believe if we can go out there and put enough pressure upon this lobby firm, they will refuse to lobby for that genocidal bloodsucker called Cameroon, represented by Paul Biya. Please, about 60 people to hit 700, 50 people to hit 700. Thank you for hitting your share button. Go ahead and hit your share button, ladies and gentlemen. Now, having said that, I hope that you get this. Every Ambazonian out there with a Twitter account, get to Twitter and Twitter this lobby firm in Washington, D.C., Vallis Associates. Get to Twitter them, and let us stop them from accepting to lobby for La Republique du Cameroon. Okay, I want to believe that you've gotten that. Now let me say this, ladies and gentlemen, bringing you an update on the arrest of FM No PT's family. FM No PT's family. I wish to state here that we continue to count the days of their detention. We here at the interim government, we continue to count the days of their detention. No PT's family is still being held. Wherever they are being held, nobody has an idea. But all we know is that the family, the mother, the father, the brother, the sisters, they are all still being held by the French Cameroon regime. They were hoping that no PT will surrender, will chicken out and compromise and turn over himself or lay down his arms and knee and beg the head of state, the almighty head of state. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, and of course, that is not going to happen. We can only say to La Republic Du Cameroon, that is the most cowardly act that they can take to arrest the family of an adult, of a person who has the right, the authority, the power to make decisions for himself. No, PT is an adult. He didn't consult his parents, his brothers, his sisters to pick up arms to fight for justice for a free and independent Ambazonia. And so, for French Cameroon authorities to pick up his parents, kill them up, keep them incommunicado, is the worst frustration. The worst frustration that regime can express publicly. They did this to my mother. They picked up my mother. They picked up my sister. They picked up Field Marshal's wife, and they thought we were going to, scramble to their knees, begging them to capitulate. We said no. We said no. And we see them doing the same thing here. We see them doing the same thing here. Ladies and gentlemen, you in La Republic Du Cameroon, we want you to know the idea of this independence has gone hundreds of thousands of miles that cannot be reversed, which means even if you kill them, this independence resolve will not and cannot be revoked. We are resolved, we are determined. Independence or we die fighting. Independence or we will die fighting. So I just wish that authorities in French Cameroon know that picking the family of Field Marshal No PT, locking them up incommunicado, you wasting your time. Of course, that didn't affect me or my brother when you pick up my father, my mother, and so on. It didn't. So that is not going to happen in this other case. But I also wish everybody to know that this is not only happening with No PT's family. Yesterday in Libya, they went up in the thick of the night into a small village called Njensa. French Cameroon soldiers went up at around 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m. in the morning, broke into the home of a villager. The mother was in there with 4 children. They were all abducted and taken to Minji. The mother and 4 of the children were all abducted and taken to Minji. Again, that was in Libya yesterday, in the thick of the night, at a time that everybody is in slumber. That is what French Cameroon soldiers, they are doing in the Southern Cameroons. Now, these are the ones we know. Many others, have taken place within the last 24 hours that we do not even know. Now, these are those that they have abducted. We're not talking about those they have killed, which we also don't know. But this is what they are doing. If they think that by this sort of intimidation that Ambazonia will give up, no, we cannot give up after going through this pain for 5 years, ladies and gentlemen. This can only arouse anger, indignation within us, and perseverance within us to continue this war, to this conflict until a settlement is reached. So, I will appeal to authorities in French Cameroon. This killing our people will not help you. Abducting them will not help you. But if you can go and sit on the negotiation table, we can finish this thing the next day. We can end this thing the next day if you will just listen. Listen to people advising you like Diodone Isomba. Go to the negotiation table. You are not going to win this war. Impossible for you to win, sirs. All right. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in at this moment. I am going to bring you my guest. And again, this is a very, very important guest that I bring to you. I am being joined by C.C. Buckley. C.C. Buckley is the founder of Global Justice Journal. Global Justice Journal. Under his foundation, he carried out some work in Ground Zero in the area of education. And while doing so, he gathered a lot. She gathered a lot of what was going on Ground Zero in Ambazonia. He did not only gather a lot, he actually, after realizing the gravity of the problem on the ground, the arrests, the killings, she began to sponsor people to investigate exactly some of the things that were happening on the ground in Amazonia. C.C. Buckley lives in the USA, is a U.S. citizen, and joins me from Chicago. Joins me from Chicago. C.C., it's a pleasure to have you, man, finally.
Secretary Chris, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We made it this time. Last time we were cut off with network, and we just couldn't make it. And the interest, the attention was huge to hear what you had to say.
Well, thank you. Why don't you ask any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Absolutely. Let us start, Sisi, with your interest in Amazonia. You are an American citizen, you live in Chicago, but you develop interest in this conflict in Amazonia. Tell us, what led you there?
That's a great question. My organization, Global Justice Journal, is a platform that is intended to give a voice to those who are silenced by persecution. Having learned about the Anglophone crisis, we were very interested in providing educational opportunities to the children of the Southern Cameroons, as well as French Cameroon, which might surprise you. I don't know if you knew that part. We had about 60% in the Southern Cameroons, 40% in French Cameroon, and the purpose was to cut through the propaganda so that everyone, both sides, would be able to see the truth of what was going on. And what that achieved was those children who were in French Cameroon understood finally how persecuted, how mistreated their Anglophone counterparts had been. For the first time, they were able to have empathy and to understand everything that was going on within the Biya regime. And that was part of what we wanted to accomplish, because we are constantly striving to uncover truth. We believe only through knowledge, only through being able to ask the questions you need to ask in order to have correct and accurate and truthful information, can you really achieve self-determination. And that's really what everyone in Amazonia is after, self-determination.
Okay, Cece, there are a lot of issues with your microphone. Can you turn down the volume of your set a little bit because of the echo? I don't know whether you hear it. Turn down your just the volume, not your microphone, your volume.
Sure. Is that better?
Okay, perfect. We got it. All right, so
Oh, good. I'm glad.
it's a little better. Yes. Now, tell us. I was recently in one of your seminars organized in respect to this conflict in Amazonia. How did you come up with that conference? And if I may ask, are you related to the CDN, they call it Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiations? Are you by any means connected or related to the CDN?
No, we're not. We're a completely separate entity. We accept no foundation grants, and we're very particular about anyone from whom we receive funds as well as partnerships because we don't want to be beholden to anyone. We don't want to be influenced by anyone, and we want to always have the ability to speak the truth, no matter who that truth might offend.
Okay. So your conference that you recently organized had nothing to do with the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation. Now, have you done anything? Have you done anything in your group with them at all?
We haven't done anything with them. When we had the 1,000 plus woman hunger strike, which you may recall back in May, one of their leaders actually reached out to us to learn more about it, and she was very supportive of it in terms of tweeting and sharing on social media. We didn't accept any funds, and they didn't offer any funds, but they were very supportive of the whole premise of the hunger strike, which was to bring the truth of what is happening in Amazonia to the world. You know, when more than 1,000 women go on a hunger strike, it gets attention. And so we wanted the world to see what was happening, which is why we organized that. So the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation actually contacted us, wanted more information, and then retweeted some things that we had put out there on social media. And that was about the extent of it.
So, tell us about your conference, your work in Cameroon. Again, what took you to Amazonia to the extent that I know in my conversation with you, you organized some educational projects over there. How did you get to hear about the conflict in Amazonia?
Well, my background is in education or theory of education, but specifically the way that education can change society. And so I reached out to some groups to try out a new program, part of our scholarship development initiative, and made contact with an NGO leader in Kumba. She was with Survivors Network, which deals with human trafficking issues. And so we partnered together to coordinate classes that were held every week for approximately 110 children. It was actually 110 children until that terrible incident that took place in Kumba when so many children were killed. And then parents who were frightened pulled about 21 students from our program. But it began just with understanding that the children had been without education for so long, wanting to bring education, wanting to bring that understanding to them, help them learn the truth about their own country, because it was just remarkable to me how little children who go through the school system in Cameroon and in the Southern Cameroons, which is the school system is run by Cameroon, how little they really know about the history of their own country. And so we made that a large component of the educational program because, of course, people need to understand where they came from in order to know where they're going. They need to be well informed so that they can make informed decisions. And the more that I engaged with these wonderful, brilliant children, they were just remarkable. And the teachers, as well as civic leaders there, the more I became entrenched in the struggles of Ambazonia and really wanted to do something to help. And I decided the best way I could do that is to give a voice to Ambazonians and to do further research, to do further investigations on things that we had heard. You know, there are always rumors, and you're not really sure what's true and what's not true. And the more we learned, the more horrific it became. It actually exceeded any rumors we had heard when we started doing our investigation.
Is your organization still actively on the ground doing humanitarian work?
We are still doing work there. We go on and off with our investigations. However, when investigations are needed, there are people on the ground that we can hire to go out and do those investigations for us. But yes, we've always been involved in humanitarian work there over the past year. It was just a year ago that I actually became acquainted with the situation there. But we also recently, this is kind of exciting, started a vocational training program up in Bamenda for women who had been victims of domestic abuse. And actually, we'd like to expand that. We're doing a train the trainer program so that various leaders from NGOs can learn the same training and then bring that to the people that they serve.
Wonderful. Now, let me take you into something that you publish in your magazine, Global Justice Journal. In that report, this is what you wrote. You wrote that last month, we shared the story of General J, along with 26 other Ambazonian combatants who were brought to Yaoundé, lodged at expensive hotels for 3 months, and given script to memorize and recite at the 2019 Grand National Dialogue in exchange for employment that never came. Now you add that you also told your readers about, I guess this is a pen name, Mika, who works as an agent of Eli Smith, Prime Minister Ngute's covert advisor, to traffic arms and lure freedom fighters from the bushes with the promise of vocational training, only to subject them to interrogation and torture at the hands of the BIR. I'd like you to tell us about the story of this General J and that of this, I guess, was an informant called Mika. Start with J, Sisi, and tell us who was J and what was he engaged in?
Well, General J, and that is a name that we gave him in order to protect his identity, had been a general with one of the groups of fighters. And he was, along with 26 other fighters, was lured by the person we call Micah, that is also a made-up name, to take part in the Grand National Dialogue. Micah was operating, according to Micah, at the instructions of Eli Smith, who was operating under the instructions of the Prime Minister. And so General J and these 26 other individuals were promised money as well as employment. The employment was going to take place at the shipyard in Douala, but it never materialized. They, of course, didn't realize that was going to be the case when they were brought to Yaoundé, and we are told by General J as well as 2 other fighters who were also brought there and Micah himself corroborated this, that they were indeed given scripts that they were supposed to memorize for the Grand National Dialogue, that it was all just a fraud. Any participation by Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, however you wish to refer to them, was all just orchestrated by the government of Cameroon.
So who was General J particularly? Who was he?
I'm not sure what you mean by who was he. He was somebody who
I
had
do not
been
want you to
recruited
review
to
his
fight.
full identity, but I want you to describe exactly who he was, because you are not using his real name here, I guess.
Right. Well, he was a fighter who had been elevated to the position of general within 1 year, because he was very skilled at what he did. I'm not sure which group he was fighting with, however. Why don't you let me know what you mean by who is he? You mean what kind of person was he?
Yeah, exactly,
or-
that's also what I think you've answered the question. We just wanted to know what kind of person he was. So you have said he was an Ambazonian fighter, correct?
He was actually a very forthright, very gentle person. He's not what you would typically expect when you hear about an Ambazonian fighter, or when, as an outsider, when you hear about an Ambazonian fighter, you think of someone who's very tough and perhaps might not on the sensitive side, but he did, and he actually encouraged other fighters and give their stories as well, so that the world could know the truth. All he wants really is for the world to know the truth of what happened. He was tricked. He did this for his family, because he has a family. He needs to make ends meet, as does everyone in the Southern Cameroons. And so that was the reason that he accepted what seemed like a wonderful offer. But again, those jobs never came through. The 26 colleagues of his were brought to the DDR in Buea, and he was brought to a military hotel up in Bamenda, but when he realized that it had all been a trick, he escaped, and now he lives in anonymity. We were able to interview him, as well as several other fighters, as well as Micah.
Now, you say, again in your publication, that you also told your readers about Micah, who worked as an agent of Eli Smith, with Prime Minister's Ngute's covert advisor to traffic arms and lure freedom fighters from the bushes, with a promise of vocational training which never materialized. Can you again enlighten us a little bit here, what exactly Eli Smith is doing with the fighter? Because I believe it wasn't then. He is still in that business today, I guess. Can you enlighten us, please?
Well, according to Micah, as well as a couple of other individuals who shared information with us, he provides funds for the arms, and instructed Micah, as well as other individuals, to lure the fighters out of the bushes so that they could then go to the DDR centers, which is where the vocational training would supposedly take place. That's not what we learned actually takes place in DDR centers. But when we refer to vocational training and other forms of training and rehabilitation, we're referring to what supposedly takes place in the DDR centers, and that's why it never actually manifested.
So Mika actually told you she was working for Eli Smith, correct?
Right, and Micah is a he, not a she.
Oh, Micah
Our
is a he, okay.
investigators were women, but yes, Micah is a male, and is actually one of what we believe to be, what we were told to be, and do believe, several agents who are in the southwest and northwest regions, whose jobs are to lure fighters from the bushes. They're paid to do this. They have been convinced
Who was
that it
paying them?
is
Is it Eli
their
Smith
moral.
or what?
That's where they get the funds from. He's the one who directly transfers the money to them. I can't tell you where the money comes from since Ellie is indeed working with the Prime Minister. I would assume that it comes from the Prime Minister. You know, we know that the money is directly sent by Eli Smith. With regard to the Prime Minister's involvement, though, we did receive some very interesting information pertaining to the fact that whenever the Prime Minister is visiting a particular area in the Northwest or the Southwest, somewhere in Ambazonia, that's when you can expect an uptick in activities to lure fighters out of the bushes because it makes him look good.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a scene where your investigators were actually interviewing Mika and a call came in from Eli Smith. Do you recall? Please tell us what transpired.
Yes, absolutely. That came as quite a surprise, actually, because while our investigator was speaking with Micah, she was actually quite blown away by the information that he was telling her. She didn't expect such candor from him. And while they were speaking, a call actually did come in from Eli Smith, and she overheard part of the conversation and then asked him about it, and he was able to confirm that, yes, Eli Smith does send money to buy arms. He also indicated, and I don't think I've shared this with you yet, Chris,
Okay.
he stated that the government and certain leaders on the side of the fighters trade arms with one another. They're in it for business with one another. So this is just my conjecture.
The government with some of the leaders trade arms together.
That is what we were told, and this is just conjecture on my part. You know, you put together pieces and then you need to do further research. So, prefacing it with that, since Eli Smith does work directly with the ADF and Eli Smith is involved, we naturally assumed they meant that the leaders of the ADF or the AGOVC were the leaders that they were referring to.
So let's get it very clear there. Of course, this is not something you have personally confirmed, but what you are saying is you were told by this agent who deals with Eli Smith that the government leaders were trading arms with some of the separatist leaders, and you feel convinced Ayaba Cho of the ADF was the one or is the one trading in arms with the government.
That would be my belief based upon the associations that are involved. I can't say I'm 100% convinced because we haven't been able to confirm it. And again, I'm very much into sharing the truth, only the truth. So the truth is that Eli Smith is directly related to the ADF and the AGOVC, so those would most likely be the leaders that Micah was referring to.
That is.
Well, it wasn't you, was it, Chris?
I'm sorry?
It wasn't you.
You know, it wasn't me.
It wasn't you that they were trading arms with, and there are very few other options.
I don't know how to buy a single, not even a bullet. So, but that is an interesting revelation, and I say it is interesting, Sisi, because we have known for a long time that the ADF of Cho Ayaba has all along been working with the government of Cameroon, and it is important. It is stunning that you make that revelation without talking to any of us, because we have seen checks reaching to Cho Ayaba's AGOVC from the plantations of a former CPDM Cameroon government. Actually, I think it was the vice Senate leader, Chief Mukete. We saw Czechs. We have seen the ADF fighting alongside with French Cameroon soldiers in single battles. They're fighting on the same side. We have seen ADF fighters sleeping in the same room, the same compound with ADF fighter. And above all, this war has been going on for over 3 years now. I mean, actually 4 years now. And the ADF cannot show one single battle they wage against French Cameroon. So these revelations, they're not surprising to us. But tell us a little bit more what you learned from Jay, what you learned from Mika, the connection between Eli Smith, the AGOFC, the Prime Minister, if anything more.
One other thing that I don't think I've mentioned to you is when I first found out about Eli Smith's role, before I had put all the pieces together, I did reach out to Ayaba to inform him of what I had discovered, and within 24 hours, I received a message from Eli Smith wanting to communicate with me to explain things. So I'd have to think that Ayaba was the one who contacted Eli Smith in order to try to smooth out the situation. It was really all very stunning on our part.
So Eli Smith reached out to you the moment you learned about you and the information you had gotten, and then you reached out to Ayaba Cho, and Ayaba.
I reached out to Ayaba Cho because I knew that Eli was, at the time I hadn't put all the pieces together.
Yes.
And so I reached out to Ayaba Cho to let him know what I had learned about Eli Smith. And then within 24 hours, Eli Smith reached out to me. There was no way that Eli Smith could possibly have had any provocation to do that unless Ayaba Cho had reached out to him.
So did Ayaba Cho actually then respond to you after you reaching out to him?
No.
But Eli Smith was the one who rather reached out to you.
Yes. Correct.
And what did Eli Smith want to know when you reached out to you?
I actually did not go through his entire message. I still had an individual in the field whom he knew was in the field, and she was in danger. There had been a kidnapping attempt, which was of great concern to us also because Eli was the only person who knew where she
was in
and
danger?
the rest
Who was
of
the
the
she?
team were at the time. I'm sorry?
Who is the she who was in danger?
Our investigator.
Okay.
We had an investigative team, and they were women. There were 2 women and 1 man who were involved in the investigative team, and there had been a kidnapping attempt against them, which raised a red flag for me because there was only one person who knew where they were, and that was Eli Smith. She thought that she could trust him. She let him know what she was doing. There was a kidnapping attempt. And so I wanted them to be safely back from the field before I had any further communication with Eli Smith. Again, I reached out to Ayaba Cho because I hadn't realized at the time that there was that connection. I'm sorry, am I confusing you? Believe me, this was a very complex matter. Going into the field and researching all of this was very complex.
It's not confusing at all. I'm interested to know, when you reach out to Ayaba Cho, you had not really known much about him. What did you get? What did you want to get from him at that time?
Well, I had communicated with him a few times previously. I wanted to learn more about the Ambazonian struggle. I wanted to know what was going on there. I was able to connect with him, and that was why I reached out to him, because I knew that Eli Smith had a connection with ADF and with AGOVC, but I had not yet put together that AGOVC and ADF were most likely involved in the same activities that Eli was involved in. I had not taken that next step yet when I informed him about what we had learned about Eli Smith.
So again,
and then as soon as Eli Smith got back to me, I realized that it must have been Ayaba Cho who reached out to him. And then that was the point at which I told my people in the field that they needed to get back immediately.
What did Eli Smith want to get from you when he reached you, when he contacted you instead of Ayaba?
I don't know, because if I open the message, he gets a notification that I received the message, and I wanted to make sure my people got back in the field quickly before we had any sort of confrontation.
So, Mika told you that some of the arms leaving Yaoundé were going to leaders of the separatist movement.
Yes, apparently the arms were going in both directions. There were arms that were from the BIR that were going to the separatist movement, and then there were the arms that were being purchased from those who agreed to drop their weapons and go to the DDR system, who were then going to the BIR. So it was actually going in both directions.
Now,
you have a very complex situation over there.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to untangle it to get a clear picture of what was going on there. What we've been able to establish is that Eli Smith was an agent who was going in between Mika. Mika was his agent, I guess, who was then talking to the fighters. Am I correct? Amazonian fighters.
Yes, you're correct. And Micah apparently is one of several agents whose role is to lure fighters from the bushes and into the DDR centers. And as you know, there are more and more NGOs popping up whose mandate is to do that as well.
Right. Now, tell us about your discovery. This is very important, and let me get to what you write about it, talking about the mass grave that apparently was uncovered in Tole. You write, finally we revealed our discovery of a secret BIRO interrogation center at the Ndawara tea plantation in Tole. Of the many horror stories our investigators heard regarding deplorable conditions inside disarmament, demobilization and reintegration centers, the most troubling account came from outside the centers, based on reports of the stench of rotting corpses from our informants in Boya. We traveled to the tiny village of Tole. Crouched in the back of a transport vehicle, our team went undetected as they passed through each military checkpoint en route to the Ndawara tea plantation. As the gates to the plantation were heavily guarded by BIR soldiers brandishing their weapons, your team ventured deeper into the village to explore the source of the rancid order, the grisly side where BIR soldiers regularly dump mutilated bodies. Please tell us about this story.
This was just beyond imagination, and they're not actually mass graves because they don't bury them. They are piles of mutilated bodies that show up on the fringes of Tole at least a couple times a week. We were told by those who are familiar with the situation that truckloads of fighters are brought to the tea plantation, not to the DDR system, to the tea plantation to be detoxed in case they're on drugs or alcohol, to be detoxed and to be interrogated. Many do not make it past that point. Their bodies are mutilated and they are dumped on the fringes of Tole.
So tell us how you got to the scene.
Well, I can't give specifics because I don't want to risk the safety of certain individuals.
No, you don't. You don't need to mention. You don't need to mention them. Just tell us how you talked about getting into a truck and getting into escaping, avoiding the BIRs to get to the scene. Paint that little scenario for us, please.
I really can't go into too much detail about that because the tactics that this individual, that the driver used for us, would help to identify him with the BIR. There are certain things that he does on a regular basis. He's someone that they typically wave hi to, and they know him. So he could end up in very serious straits if we went through the details of how they got out there.
Okay.
But he's someone who drives that route on a regular basis, as do I'm sure many people. And we just happen to have a connection with this individual. So our investigator, one investigator this time, was able to just lay down in the back and was able to go through. One thing that really came to our attention, though, is why are the BIR so heavily armed outside a tea plantation? I mean, that makes no sense. Why would there be BIR with guns ready? We're not just talking about guns in holsters or just standing there as a favor to the tea plantation providing security. We're talking weapons ready. So you know something dark is going on behind there. But then when you find the bodies, when you actually are able to smell that stench that they refer to, and you are able to locate these bodies that are deep in,
so
you know that it's true.
So they actually, your informants actually saw these mutilated bodies piled up.
They were able to see the mutilated bodies, yes. There were most definitely, we have confirmation of the mutilated bodies. With regard to the frequency, that we relied upon the testimony of witnesses, because our group didn't hang out there for a couple of weeks to see how often it happened. But we were told that it's at least weekly, usually more than weekly, that there are bodies dumped there. It might be one body, it might be 5 bodies. But there are bodies, they are mutilated too. They're not just killed and put there. They're not just executed. They are mutilated and they are dumped at the edge of the village. And that is how they dispose of them when they either are unwilling or unable to provide valuable information. If they make it into the DDR center, it means that they did have information that was of value.
Now, you have said that your agent, your informant was, and your team, they were attracted to this location by the stench that was coming out from there.
Our investigator received information from locals about the stench, and that was why we went to investigate. But yeah, they were actually saying that they were concerned that it could actually provide an environmental hazard because of the decomposing bodies and the rancid stench of the decomposing bodies. And they were afraid to do anything with the bodies because they understood the source. They didn't want to just go retrieve the bodies and bury them.
That is quite interesting. Now, you have also talked about how the truck guy and your investigators managed to avoid the BIRs to get to this location. Can you explain a little bit what you mean and how they got there in spite of the heavy presence of the BIRs?
The particular driver, again, I'm not going to go into specifics, but the
Sure.
particular driver was known and had feigned a friendship with them. You know, just joked with them, had a good relationship with them, a superficial good relationship with them, so that when they trust somebody, they just basically wave them through. And that was the case here.
You have suggested in one of your write-ups that it is very possible that some of these mutilated bodies were those of deserting Ambazonia fighters who would not collaborate or cooperate with investigators who were killed and dumped in these areas.
Well, what we were told is that those who do not cooperate with the interrogators, with the handlers, and I don't know if they were deserters. You know, they could have been captured. They don't necessarily have to be people who deserted.
Yeah.
You know, fighters who deserted. They could have been captured as well. So I wouldn't want to put that on them. But it is because they were not able or they were unwilling to share information with their handlers. The entire purpose of being brought to the tea plantation is for interrogation.
All right.
And torture.
And torture, yes. Now, one thing that you also said, and I would like to read that from, again, I'm taking this from your magazine, Global Justice Journal. You said, this is what you wrote. Those who willingly cooperate, now you are describing the Amba fighters who joined the DDRs. You wrote, those who willingly cooperate with their handlers receive 3 meals per day and human drug rehabilitation services. Those who are unwilling or unable to provide valuable intelligence to the guards are tortured, mutilated, and ultimately discarded as refuse. I mean, you are describing human beings here that they are discarded as refuse. Are you serious? Did you really get this?
Absolutely, and why would that come? You know, yes, and why would that come as a surprise with Paul Biya as the president of Cameroon? When you look at all of the atrocities that have been committed upon the authorization of this man, this becomes much easier to believe. As surreal as it seems to someone who's outside, once you learn more and more about the atrocities that Paul Biya authorizes, it becomes so much more believable. You know, and for us, one reason we went to investigate was that it did seem surreal. Could this really be happening?
Yeah.
And it is. It's just yet another one of the atrocities committed. And the DDR centers, you know, we've reported on those a great deal. I don't believe there is any documented case of anyone ever having left a DDR center and having been reintegrated, having gotten successful employment.
Interesting. Now, let us talk about the DDR centers themselves. This is what you wrote about the DDR centers. You state that, let me read this. Debunking the DDR myth. In a 2-part series, you wrote, last month we shared the story of General J, who, along with 26 other Ambazonian combatants, was brought to Yaoundé, lodged at expensive hotels for 3 months, and given scripts to memorize and recite at the 2019 Grand National Dialogue. We've talked about that. I think where I am interested in is this other part. We also told you about Mika, who works as an agent of Eli Smith, and Prime Minister Ngute's covered advisor to traffic arms and law freedom fighters from the bushes with the promise of vocational training, only to subject them to interrogation and torture at the hands of the BIRO. Finally, we reviewed our discovery of a secret BIRO interrogation center at the Ndawara tea plantation in Tole. Now, is this different from what we are describing in the dead camps or something like that? Is that different? This interrogation center, is it different from what we're talking about?
Oh, it's the same one.
Okay, so
yeah, the interrogation center at the tea plantation is the one that we're referencing in that preface that you just read.
So are we saying that these combatants will be taken to this torture center, torture there before being taken back to the DDR centers?
If they make it to the DDR center, yes.
In other words, many did not make it to the DDR centers.
That is our understanding. Again, we were able to, my people on the ground, as you know, I'm in the United States. My
Correct.
people on the ground were able to see the bodies. They smelled the stench. They interviewed a lot of locals about what they had seen. And it's all in the article, as you said.
Yes. Now there is the mention of this human rights, this NGO, so-called human rights NGO that you mentioned, called it is called Organization for the Defense of Human Rights International. Organization for the Defense of Human Rights International, is which has been funded in part by the United Nations. This organization delegates are trained by the BIR troops and are rewarded with membership cards that grant them unfettered passage through military checkpoints. To date, delegates have been selected in 9 of the country's 10 regions. On June 12th, delegates for the Southwest region were installed in Boya. Tell us a little bit about this human rights group that pretends to be a neutral organization on the ground that is being sponsored, funded, and directed by the BIRs. Many people don't know this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a revelation, because we just don't understand how anything an NGO can go on the ground, trained and installed by the BIR. They go to the field, and people think that these are neutral people. Tell us a little bit about this organization, please.
The organization actually charges its members for the privilege of membership and getting the training. It's considered very prestigious. And we had one individual who sat in on a meeting and then reported back to us. And that's how we know this information. She was able to receive the documentation, which was all in French, even though the meeting took place. Tico? I believe in Tico. The meeting took place in Tico. And
Tico, yes, Tico.
Yeah, so she isn't really fluent in French. She couldn't read all the documents, so we had to have some translated. But she did attend the meeting and was told that they are funded in part by the United Nations. And their primary mandate, again, is to lure fighters from the bushes to send them to the DDR centers, specifically the new DDR center that is being built near Tico, which the BIR is going to build itself, apparently. If I'm not mistaken, not only is the BIR going to provide security, my understanding is that the BIR is going to take part in the physical building of the structure so that there is increased security there.
Yeah, we
But I think
have
that was on.
we have no doubt with it. BIR taking part in the construction of that so-called DDR in Tico. But it is interesting that now. Do you know for how long this organization, human rights, what if you can mention it again, how long they've been operating on the ground? Because we want people on the ground to know, and we will bring out as much information about them as possible so that when people see them, when people find them, they should recognize them. In fact, we are going to ban that organization from operating anywhere in Ambazonia. It's essentially a government BIRO sponsor outfit operating as an NGO on the ground. Am I wrong?
Pretty much. I mean, they're getting their training from the BIR. They're able to carry ID cards that will allow them to pass through any BIR checkpoint. They will be allowed access anywhere in Ambazonia, and the BIR cannot touch them. So they're being given a great deal of privilege. I don't know what the fee is that they pay for this privilege and for being able to participate in this organization. I can't remember offhand the name of the organization. You have it in front of you.
Yes, the name
The
of
NGO.
the organization. The name of the organization again
Defense of
is,
Human Rights or something like that.
It's called Organization for
Defense
the
of Human
Defense
Rights
of
International.
Human Rights International, abbreviated DHRI. DHRI. Supposed to be an NGO on ground zero, ladies and gentlemen, which is an outfit masquerading as an NGO sponsored and being trained by the BIR. Again, that organization is abbreviated the DHRI. DHRI. Organization for the Defense of Human Rights International. Take note, this is not an NGO. It is an outfit of the BIRO sponsored by the regime in Yaoundé to go around trying to convince Ambazonians to surrender. That is their mission. Sissy, let us talk again on just one more thing before I let you go. You have witnessed the different women organizations on the ground in Ambazonia and in Cameroon talking about peace. They held one conference after another talking about peace. I know you have been kind of very dissatisfied with what you see. Tell me, give me your rating of these women conferences in Ambazonia talking about peace.
You're putting me on the spot, Secretary Chris. I think that their goals and their mission are off. They seem to be representing the Cameroon perspective, and they don't seem to be very humanitarian in nature. It doesn't appear that they are on the right path if the goal is truly to achieve peace. I have to have some skepticism of any group that claims that it wants peace but is escorted to meetings by the BIR. I have to be skeptical of any individual or group that claims that the BIR is not a problem. It is documented that the BIR has committed numerous hundreds, thousands of atrocities, and to claim otherwise puts you on the wrong side of
let me
history,
stop you there a little bit. Talking about that, I was reading through your magazine and I found out that, just 2 months ago, I think it was in May or 3 months ago, you had actually quoted in your magazine that they have killed over 27,000 Ambazonians. And it is only last month that the French radio station Radio France Internationale also mentioned that over 30,000 people have actually been killed. You were the first person to say, no, it is not 10,000, it is not 15,000, it is not even 20,000, it is over 27,000. How are you getting how were you getting your information?
We listen. I just have to say that we go to the right people and we listen. The thing about Global Justice Journal is that we are completely neutral. I know the Cameroon government doesn't believe so because there's absolutely no way you can side with the Cameroon government. But we are
not just the Cameroon government, but even out there, the international community, the international media, they keep saying over 3,000. Over 3,000. They have been saying 3,000 since 2018, and the number hasn't changed.
Right. I know, which is just ludicrous. But again, that's part of the whole spin that Paul Biya is putting on it. I did want to comment. It's ironic that you were bringing up the PR firm today in your news report, because over the past several days, Global Justice Journal on Twitter has been revealing one PR firm per day, stating how much they received when they started working with the Cameroon government. So may I give our Twitter handle so that your viewers can go and look at our tweets over the past few days to see who these firms are?
Definitely.
It's Global Justice J1. That's Global Justice Journal on Twitter. And again, over the past several days, we've been listing one PR firm a day.
Okay, and which is this different from is it Valis Associates?
Valis is actually one of the ones that we named. We named Valis. We named Mercury Public Affairs. Let's see. Squire Patton Boggs. I'm so sorry. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but there are several that we've listed. And then as of today, we began listing fake news media that the Cameroon government is using as well. We're just digging deeper and deeper. So if you go on Twitter,
tell us a little bit about the fake news media that the Cameroon government is using that you've come across.
Well, we learned that, and this may very well have already been covered by other people. Again, I've only been involved in this for about a year now. So if I repeat anything, I apologize. I'm not claiming we're the first to find out any of this. We're just revealing things as we learn about them. So Cameroon, how is it pronounced? Cameroon Agence Presse or Agency Press. That is one that apparently hired the observers for the 2018 election. We found out the 2018 election, which President Biya won by a supposed 71%. The objective observers were not brought in by Transparency International as they claimed. They were brought in by this fake news media whose launch happened to coincide with the time that Mercury Public Affairs signed a $1.2 million contract with the government of Cameroon.
Tell me, how about the social media, talking about Twitter, talking about Facebook? Do you have any knowledge as to whether they are in bed with Cameroon also? Because that is what is highly believed.
There is one that we mentioned. There's one that we mentioned today. If you go to our tweet, you'll be able to find it. I don't want to misquote it and accidentally, mention somebody else's handle inadvertently, because I didn't come prepared with that information. But it is on our Twitter. You'll be able to go to the tweet that I sent out today as well as the ones that we've sent out over the past few days, and get that information. And we're going to slowly start to reveal that as well. The more that we learn. As we learn it, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to announce it on Twitter. I'm going to announce it on LinkedIn. We had a Facebook page that within its first 2 weeks had something like 14 or 15,000 people who liked our posts, but then we were shut down.
And this was about Cameroon.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And it was shut
down. We were completely shut down without a hearing. They said that it was already reviewed and that we were permanently shut down. And I have to think that perhaps there was a government behind that.
Now, let's get back.
But within 2 weeks, we had 14,000 likes.
Let's get back to, again, the work of these Women for Peace and their conferences back in Cameroon. As you know, there was one that took place last week, sponsored by the Frederick Ebert Foundation in Germany. Again, it's all about peace. Tell me, you just organized your own conference on the peace in Cameroon. How do you differ from what these women there are doing?
Well, we didn't propose any resolutions at the end of our summit because we think that it's the people of the Southern Cameroons, people of Amazonia, who should decide their own future. We think that you've had enough people from the outside deciding what's best for you. In addition to that, we had on various viewpoints. As you know, you were welcome to speak your mind, to give your side. We also welcomed the Federalist perspective. Again, we try to be as neutral and as apolitical as possible so that people can learn facts and make their own informed decision. We also, throughout the summit, showed the atrocities that were being committed by the government of Cameroon rather than praising them. The other summit or conference that you were referencing that took place just the last weekend of July, I believe it was, they were all about unification and patriotism. And if you're talking about unification and patriotism, I don't think you're going to achieve peace. It's completely excluding one side of the argument, a very important side of the argument. Conciliation Resources has a very important document out, one of their many good publications, that says that the peace process, the ceasefire process, needs to be placed in the hands of those who are armed, those who have the grievance. And we believe that as well. I'm quite sure that's not what this other group or these other groups believe. One thing that, there were a lot of people coming out and saying you didn't go far enough, or you did this wrong, you did that wrong. One thing I would definitely say that was wrong is to place all decisions in the hand of Paul Biya, who make him judge and jury over this situation when he is the cause of the situation. I guess that's where we differ the most. I see Paul Biya as the cause. I'm sorry?
Were you ever contacted by the Cameroon government for all the investigations and the work you were doing? I remember you were working in Kumba after the school shootings in Kumba. You did some work there, correct?
Absolutely. No, I wish the Cameroon government would reach out to us. I would just love to engage in an open dialogue, an open debate with them. But no, they have not reached out.
All right. Sissy, it was a great pleasure to have you here. I don't know if there is any one thing you would like to say to Amazonians out there.
I just can't even imagine what you are all going through. But I want you to know there are a lot of people whose voices you might not hear, who feel for you, who love you, who will stand by you. And I consider it my personal mission, as well as the mission of Global Justice Journal, to bring even more people on board to make your pain known to the world so that there will finally be action.
Wonderful. And Sissy, what is your Twitter handle for those who may want to follow you on Twitter?
The Twitter handle is Global Justice J1.
Global Justice J1.
One. Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. I am so glad I finally had you here. I know there is a lot we can do together. I will be reaching back to you, and we will have many more things to discuss. Thank you for being my guest, and thank you for sharing some of the insight of the things that you have investigated, your organization has investigated back on the ground in Ambazonia. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too, Chris. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Sissy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sissy Buckley. Sissy Buckley, founder of Global Justice Journal, Global Justice Journal, and she is one fiery advocate out there for a free and independent Ambazonia. And for those of you who watch my debate between the federalists and between federalism and independence, she was the organizer of that conference, and she is out there doing a lot from her own corner to see that Ambazonians can find justice. Again, thank you for being my guest tonight. I will quickly talk about other issues now, ladies and gentlemen, and I would like to go to this press conference of Dr. Sako, organized by the interim government last Friday with the Nigerian media. It is very interesting what is going on out there. We've seen a barrage of Nigerian media run with the interview that was conducted here at the interim government. And not only that, we also see Ayaba Chokluka scrambling out there to defend his alliance position with Nnamdi Kanu. This is what we were trying to achieve with that press conference with the president. We were trying to make sure the Nigerian government is aware that neither the Ambazonian people nor the interim government of Ambazonia that prosecutes, that leads the charge for the prosecution of this war against La Republic Du Cameroon, that this interim government and the overwhelming majority of Ambazonian people, they got nothing to do with Biafra and with IPOP, the indigenous people of Biafra of Nnamdi Kanu. And we are really excited. We are really excited that we got that message out there, and the Nigerian leaders now understand that it was one rook. It was one rook who has no following, who has no... Now, let me listen to this gentleman, ladies and... listen to this guy, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to him. Listen to him.
We control territory. If you ever doubted when I said we have dynamic control of over 80% of our land, yesterday we proved to you and the world that we could translate that dynamic control into static control within 24 hours.
From dynamic control to static control of 80% of, he said, our land. Ladies and gentlemen, it just baffles me where this gentleman comes from. With all this big grammar, empty grammar, high sounding nothing, that he has 80% of his land. This is a man who leads an organization that fights on the side of La Republic Du Cameroon, And he wants us to believe they have 80% of their land. And very soon, they are now going to launch community schools. Community schools. It is ridiculous. This guy has no shame on his face at all. He says these things without blinking. Without blinking. He has 80% control of his land. He doesn't even have 80% control of Ngomgam or Mulang, where his terrorist boys are hanging there every day, abducting people and taking ransom. He has no 80% of Mulang. Not at all. But this is the point. This is the point. Cho Ayaba. This is the plot. Cho Ayaba wanted Nigeria and Cameroon to start putting pressure on our refugees to return to that damn country. And so, collaborating with the Republic Du Cameroon and with the French government, he entered into this alliance with Nnamdi Kanu. And then, as you heard him in his response to Dr. Sako the other day, saying he understands what refugees in Kosovo did. He is subliminally telling Nigeria, Ambazonian refugees in your country are dangerous. You got to send them out. You got to let them go. And exactly what his plans are is what Nigeria is doing. Kicking out our refugees, arresting our refugees, and forcing others to return to danger in La Republique du Cameroon. This is exactly Ayaba's plan, to get Nigeria to kick out our refugees, because he has made Nigeria to see them as a threat, whereas they are not. This is the ploy that Ayaba is doing. It is not because he loves Biafra. It is not because he loves Nnamdi Kanu. It's all about the plot, the arrangement with La Republique du Cameroon. You ally with Nnamdi, and then Nigeria will see both you and Nnamdi and the refugees as a threat and as a security threat, and so Nigeria will force them out. This is what is going on. This is what his alliance with Nnamdi is all about. And of course, he won't ignore the chicken change that comes from Igbo groups in Europe. That's another motivation behind that. But again, we are thankful for the press conference of last Friday. We had a good chunk of the Nigerian media in that press conference, and they ran with the story. And the Nigerian government with the leadership now know it was a rook. It was a rook who would sign a house, who signed an empty alliance, inconsequential alliance with this guy called Nnamdi. The story is sent. We want to believe that the Nigerian government has gotten the story as being told by their own media. No matter what Ayaba does, I see him all over the place in Nigeria. I see him over trying to scramble over the Nigerian media to retell his story. To retell his story. It is not going to work. It is not going to work. Nigeria now knows Ayaba is a crook. Ayaba is not somebody to be taken seriously. Ayaba is a partner with French Cameroon. I think the Nigerian government knows that now. And so, he has lost the battle. He has lost the battle. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the coming days, you will see some stories popping up here and there. I am beginning to see some in the Nigerian media. You will see those stories popping up here and there, coming from Ayaba, trying to prove that an alliance exists. Ladies and gentlemen, it exists between him and Nnamdi, not even between him and Biafra, not even between him and Igbos. It is between him and Nnamdi. This interim government, let me tell you once and for all, this interim government leads this revolution, this struggle. This interim government prosecutes this revolution, this struggle, and Dr. Samuel Ekome Sako is the leader. Whether you like it or not, it's a fact. He didn't make it. We didn't make it. Somewhere, Ikome Sako is the leader of this struggle, at least for now. And so, when you see Ayaba running around, scrambling about, trying to, grandstand for who the emptiness that he is, he has lost the narrative. There isn't any alliance between this Ambazonia and Biafra. Take that home. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get to one more very, very important subject of the day. Last weekend, we had the Coupe Moniguba draft. And Ambazonians came together, drafted 101,000 and counting. 101,000 and counting for Coupe Moniguba. It was such a surprise, but it happened to the joy of everybody in Coupe Moniguba. This weekend, all the routes, they lead to the county of Donga Mantung, ladies and gentlemen. All the routes lead to the county of Donga Mantung. And this afternoon, I am joined by no other person else, but the chairman for Donga Mantung. Hello, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Hello, Mr. Chris Hanno, Secretary Chris, how are you?
I am doing excellent. A pleasure to have you here, sir.
Absolutely.
Now, all the routes, as I've said, they lead to your neck of the wood this coming weekend. Tell us the expectations in Donga Mantung for the weekend.
Yeah, we are very excited that finally the draft is here for Donga Mantung. Everyone is geared up. We are ready to draft every friend, family member, brothers, sisters of DMC and well-wishers of this revolution. So we are excited, very, very excited.
Donga Mantung has been one of those counties slowly but surely standing up to the regime in La Republic Du Cameroon. Of course, we understand Donga Mantung has some of the most die-hard CPDM lead. Tell us, finally, you are beginning to pick steam in Donga Mantung.
Yes, we are really beginning to pick steam, Secretary Chris. We have a well-built foundation, and we are about to kick off making sure that our people are protected, making sure that the refugees around our area, from our area to Nigeria, are taken care of, making sure that those who are wounded and those who are ill are taken care of. Those who don't have shelter are protected and taken care of as well. So the elites of DMC it's been a conspiracy, I believe, that they have been conniving with the Republic Du Cameroon and the Bororos in our areas to derail and distract our people from the key issue, which is the war and the revolution. So, but we are building grounds to ensure that that doesn't happen.
How many counties in the Donga Mantung, sir?
We have one county, right? But we have 5 LGAs.
Sorry, how many LGAs I meant to say? Sorry.
Yeah, we have 5 local LGAs, which is Nkambe, Misaje, Ndu, Mwa, and Ako. Now, out of those 5, 3 of them are fully constituted with a full leadership as well, and they're running full time, supporting the struggle, full fledged.
That's a big county with 5 LGAs. You should get a lot of money getting into your pocket this weekend.
Yeah, we are excited. We expect that a lot of people are going to come out from there and support us and give us all what we need. Now, we want to draft higher than last year.
How much did you draft last year?
We drafted 150,000 K.
Wow.
Dollars. Yeah.
Wow. So
we expect to draft a lot more than that this year.
Now, however, Ambazonians watching and listening to you right now will say not a lot has happened up in Nkambe through the year. Tell them why they should step out and drive for Dongamantung this time.
Very good. Thank you for that question, Secretary Chris. Let me tell you something. The money that they contributed last year did not go in vain. We have built a good foundation. Like, we started from, scrambling, but now we have a solid foundation on which we are going to spring. Now, we want people to be sure that their money is going to be used successfully. One of the things that has been deraying our use of the money or the restoration forces has been these elites and the Mbororo issues and the camps that are being built everywhere in DMC. But we are going to take that under control. The money that they are going to raise will be effectively used. And the money that was raised last year was equally effectively used. We have built a good foundation. We don't have to disclose the details here.
Now, what is the morale of the restoration fighters up in Dongamantung?
Secretary Chris, thank you for that question. So lately we had some few guys come out there and just undermine the work that DMC has been doing. But frankly speaking, there's a high morale of our people. The restoration forces are on high gear. They are on alert. They're ready to go. Now, a few people that here and there, one of the things that I want to clarify to the world is that we do not sponsor individuals. We sponsor projects and camps. So an individual might have a grudge and then come out there and raise alarm saying, hey, we don't take care of them. No, the morale is pretty high.
When you say you don't sponsor individuals, you sponsor camp, what are you referring to?
So, like projects, say for example, a camp, which we call churches, right? A camp has individuals within a camp. We buy equipment for the camp, we don't buy equipment for individuals. We buy, say if we buy 6 acres, we're buying for that particular camp. Anyone can use it, depending on what the mission is. Now, we don't expect all the individuals, say 50 individuals within a camp to have 50 acres. So an individual in one of the camps might say, hey, there are only 5 acres here and I don't have one for myself. So I'll come out there and speak nonsense to the world saying that they're not being taken care of. Absolutely false.
Now you mentioned the Fulani situation. Is Ndu part of Dongamantung?
Yes.
Okay.
Ndu is actually one of the strongest LGAs in DMC.
Right, and that is where you have the Ngala Gerard and the rest, right?
Ngala Gerard is from Nkambe LGA. He's from Kabiken, a little village called. I don't like calling his name because I don't fancy him as such. So, yes, I don't fancy him in any way. So, in my opinion, he's the biggest black leg in DMC.
Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about this Fulani incursion from we guess northern Nigeria into Ndu. They also get into Nwa. Nwa, I guess, is in Menchum. Am I correct?
No, Nwa is another LGA in DMC.
Dongamantung.
One of the strongest, yes.
Okay.
Actually has, yes, a big population of DMC is in Nwa. We have a lot of camps there too. But the Mbororos invaded that area from Nigeria just to kill our people. Conspiracy of La Republique Du Cameroon, I believe, frankly, and then the elites of our area. Because some of the elites that we have cattle and it's been seized, but they've not said anything and they've gotten positions from La Republique Du Cameroon. So we think there is a conspiracy going on.
So,
go ahead.
Yes, going to 5 years, October will make it 5 years into this conflict, and in spite of the progress that we have made, some of these elites are not beginning to come around, even in the covert manner.
You know, DMC is a stronghold of the CPDM, and most of the elites in DMC are CPDM elites as well. They're CPDM staunch individuals. So they are unable to leave the crumbs that La Republique is giving them, and they're sitting on it, thinking that, well, it's a greedy mindset though, that, hey, I have what I need for myself, the rest can die, right? And that's the kind of attitude that we don't like. And me, for one, as the chair of DMC, we believe that the population needs to be taken care of, not individuals. right?
Right.
So those CPDM staunch individuals in DMC are still living with the crumbs, and they are excited about it. And we feel very bad that they don't care about the population as such. So,
what would you promise Ambazonians if they turn out on Saturday and draft generously supporting the DMC? What would you promise them this year?
I want to promise my people, look me straight into the eyes. I want to promise my people that one, we will defend Donga Mantung excellently and will defend Ambazonia. We will take care of the refugees, some of their people that are in Nigeria and all other places around the world. We will take care of those that are in prisons, in the dungeons of La Republic Du Cameroon. But most importantly, we'll make sure that we take over our land in DMC. They can guarantee that.
Wonderful. Now, in Kambe or Donga Mantung happened to be one of those places that has produced some of Ambazonian icons. Name some of them. Let's see. Some of the icons.
I don't want to name them because I'm making the Chris. I don't want to name them. I'm making them popular. Calling them over TV is making them popular.
No, the icons. I mean, like the Ngalam 4 and the rest who have stood up for Ambazonia over the years. Yeah, the heroes.
Okay, all the heroes, like for Ngalam 4, yeah, one of the toughest. We have. Let me just name some key people that are actually very strong in this revolution right now.
Awudu is also from Kambe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Ephraim
Well,
Awudu.
Yes. They are people that they deal with the La Republique. I don't want to say much about him. I think he resigned from the government.
Right, I know that.
I don't want to speak too much about him.
You don't want to speak too much about him, but he is the only Ambazonian representative who said, I can't stand what I see, of course, with the Honorable Weber. Those are the only few who stood up and said, we can't stand this nonsense in Yaoundé. I remember it was Awudu who went to the Ayaba Hotel in Babanda and ran down the signs in French, pulled them down and said, this cannot be happening in our territory. You have every sign written in French in Ayaba Hotel.
Yes, indeed. I want to say that from that perspective, I really, really support him, and I believe that he does not like what is going on in La Republique and Ambazonia. The two fighting, these fights that are going on. Let me say this: Mr. Awudu, Honorable Awudu, is a very, very good man. I think he cares about the people. He cares about DMC. He cares about his village where he comes from. He cares about everybody in DMC. I would say. But as far as the revolution is concerned, I cannot say for sure where he stands.
Okay.
He might be a supporter because he doesn't support what is going on in La Republique vis-a-vis Donga Mantung, but I want to keep him aside for now.
All right. Yes, so go ahead and name those other heroes we know from Donga Mantung, because
let me tell you people that are actually, in my opinion, right, are people who are actually standing for this revolution and working very, very hard. Let me start with Mayor Kari, very, very, very hard worker. Let me go to Dr. Roel, who is
Mayor Kari, that's the Undersecretary for Defense.
Correct.
Yes.
Let me also call on Dr. Roel Mwinyu of Mwa, who is the chair for Mwa LGA and also the vice chair for DMC. Let me speak of Dr. Joe Bashi, who is the head of defense, very hardworking gentleman. He's everywhere, doing everything for DMC. Let me talk of the other two chairs, which is J. Yerima and J. Tamfu and Wanja Julius of New LGA. There are lots of people, Pab Manjong and Dr. JB. There's some key people that are actually in this struggle that I want to respect a lot. From the defense perspective, I have Godwin, I have JB, I have Jobashi, I have Godwin, I have George Wang, and all those people. They are people that I really respect, and I can even call them icons as of now, practically much. I don't want to call those names that were gone before, years ago. Let's talk about the new people now. Thank you.
Good. Now, Nkambe is one of those counties in the northern zone that has been promised a ring road forever.
Oh, whatever.
And nothing sure of. Shouldn't this provoke people enough to get out there to draft to kick out this regime from our territory?
You would think, right? You would think that the people of Dongamantu and the elites would say, wow, this ring road has been here forever since Biya got into power. This 40 years and counting, whatever the years are. I don't even keep track of those years anymore. But the truth is that the ring road has been there. He actually said he was going to supervise it at one point.
Yeah.
It has never happened. It is a sad situation. And I pity my people who actually continue to dance behind Biya, thinking that he's going to do something at any point. It's sad. It's sad. I would be saying to my people today, please abandon everything about La Republique. They're all liars. They're frauders. They deceive us every time, and they're not giving us anything. The roads, every time we have dust everywhere, no water, no roads, no food, nothing. Even the water has come to take our duty and be a cooperative. All those things, they're disappearing, and yet our people are sticking with La Republique. It is sad.
I just don't understand how for 4 years in that water continue to operate all these factories and farmlands and nobody has touched it.
Well, this is the bad news for him. It's not going to be long before we root him out of there. Frankly, we cannot let this be happening. La Republique brings him there to protect the military and all that stuff, and he's also protected, moves around with military. The time will be really, really soon that he will say, hey, mister, this is not where you belong. And we cannot let him be taking food from our mouths and taking to the Republic while we are starving. No, not acceptable. Actually, Ndawara is not somebody that I respect, and including the La Republique Du Cameroon, who has put them there, and the elites who are promoting his presence and his stay there as well. So I do not respect them at all. And sooner or later, he will be out.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, look at your camera and make your appeal to Ambazonians people to support you at the weekend. Eyeball to eyeball.
Yes, eyeball to eyeball. Let me slow down my voice. I think I was a little too fast. But let me say this. I want to plead to my people. I was speaking Pidgin, a little bit in English, and I'll speak in my language also.
All right. And
yes,
before you go on, Mr. Chairman, I just want to let the audience know I am opening the phone lines right after you speak. And so if you have a question, get ready. But remember to turn down the volume of your set before you make your phone call. If you call while your phone set in the background is on, I can't pick your call. Chairman, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Secretary Chris. I just want to tell my people, frankly, from the bottom of my heart, that it is time that we all stand up and support our people, the refugees that are in Nigeria, the displaced Dongamanton citizens, the restoration forces. I do want us to stand up and support them. They need our help. We in the diaspora, all we can do is dip our hands in the pocket deep, get something and support them. Come Saturday, it's your opportunity. If you stay at home and you don't support, you don't put anything on the table for these guys, please just count yourself part of La Republique du Cameroon. Because we think that it's about time that we root these people out of our territory. Our restoration forces need your help. The refugees need your help. The displaced need your help. So it is time, please. We call on you to support. It is not more time to support a republic that has not done anything for us since 1960 and counting. So we cannot let them that continue to happen. I want back when I said this Saturday, any man, whether you're doing it for which side, you're doing it for Germany, for Asia, for the United States, for Nigeria, even for Cameroon, 5 francs, put them for table for we. Join it, we will join it, go add up. You then in Nigeria, put with Naira, it go add up. Dollar, Kobo, whatever you have, it's gonna add up. We really, really need your help on Saturday. to make sure that DMC is protected, to make sure that our refugees are handled properly, to make sure that our displaced people have money to protect themselves and eat as well. We need your help on Saturday. The draft is coming out on the 14th of August at 7 p.m. Amber time, Southern Cameroon time. If you're confused, Ambazonia is at the same as Southern Cameroon, 7 p.m. Our time. Okay, please come out in your numbers. Every penny counts, every dollar counts, every kobo counts. Okay.
Oh, right.
Bumkula wanyembe melovio fune yang sis Saturday na to donga mantung te si lembo abi ja CB ayenge gar te chundun dika fufu am dun dim sim dipka school di doka bugu jabe ke se ke mana yuwa se ne sebga so si ga te gi te bi anati fa sen gon ka bani si chasi ban fe melowi ba gar yang sis Saturday na we fam boma ba for you non simitable sangloldi tebirine we fayu and then even we got come sangloldi sepka we fayu tebi hurene we fayu kini we melo we ba go say siyenge and be ko si la ne oru yi mu kom yu ma yaunde fama mabona fama chufa ko chuna si sung we ne we ako saba ko chu ya cha afa yu ne biala ko yenge afe job chi se ne ako yabange si change me ade si go gi you the same non si ticket expect na you mo blo bajega so melo we low fu na ya si Saturday na we famuji you te si non si ba ja be ko lao ja ngwe si te si bo bravo bo ko te si bo ma shi bi hina shi fasenge ba fe na melo we low. Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I want to believe that come Saturday, Ambazonians will line up behind you, behind Donga Mantung. This is the county of comfort, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most tenacious lady in this story. Yes, Chairman.
Chris, I'm sorry that I did not make mention of Comfort and her husband. They are very, very strong people in the revolution. That's Comfort Bernard as well. Yeah, so they've been doing very well. Comfort is number one, by the way. So applaud to my Comfort. My Comfort, you're doing an excellent job. So keep it up.
All right.
I have named Mayor Jobashi, Chairman Julius Wanja, Chairman Roel Newey, Dr. Roel Newey, and all those people. Those are hard people. Pan Manjong. Let's continue to give them the hand that they deserve.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you for showing up. We look forward to having a great time on Saturday with Donga Mantu.
Thank you so much.
All right. Good night, sir. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will now turn to the phones. I will spend the next 20 minutes, I guess, on the phones. But again, before you call, remember to turn down the volume of your television set if you are watching on TV or watching on a computer or laptop. Turn down the volume of your set before you call. You have the number on your screen, so go ahead and make your call. Go ahead and make your call. And remember, the calls are only being accepted on WhatsApp. So let me see who is calling first here. All right, ground zero. I think this is a bad connection. This caller has a bad connection. Okay. Hello.
Good evening, Secretary Chris.
Good evening, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
I'm calling from Bakwa town.
Okay, and thanks for the call. What is in your mind?
Yes, I will first of all thank you and thank very much the lady who handled the program with you from the beginning.
Okay.
She said something, yeah, she said something very important. And I am very, very, very disappointed if a foreigner could really speak the truth on our behalf, on the behalf of the people who are dying in the bushes.
Yeah.
While our brothers in the diaspora, some of our brothers in the diaspora do not see this. Our elite in Yaoundé and so on. I'm very disappointed. I was so sad. I nearly shed tears that if a foreigner could really, in fact, look at our problem and speak the truth fearlessly. In fact, it was so touching and so on. He said something very important. Knowing who Mr. Abia is. She doesn't even know Mr. Abia.
Yeah.
I'm talking like a senior fellow. I've been in Yaoundé for about 18 years. I know who Mr. Abia is. During the 6th April, how he killed people. He killed people just as if he were killing ants during the 6th April coup. That Friday, on Friday morning, he began killing the northerners. Anybody he sees in the street black, wearing the red cap, he just killed. He killed and killed and killed and killed. He has been killing from the times old till today. So I appreciate very much that lady of really expressing the truth of what is actually going on the ground. And I will tell you, Secretary Chris, I'm very delighted for that program. And I will emphasize much on this fact of communicating with people on the ground, releasing news to you people over there. You should be very careful. They are very fictitious men in this Abakwata. When they hear anybody who just get up and begin to recount stories, for instance, something I've never gotten the right information.
I totally get your point about that, but you can imagine that we're not going to just pick every story and drop on television. Stories have to be voted before we can put them on television. So,
okay.
Yeah, they absolutely have to be voted, verified. Thank you. Let me rush to others who are calling, sir.
Thank you. I'm with you.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Let's see who next is on the line. Okay, hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. May I know where you are calling from, sir?
Yeah, I'm calling from Minnesota.
Okay, thanks for calling. That is Minneapolis. What is in your mind, sir?
Yep, I was very interested in the revelations by CC regarding Egosi and Ayaba.
Yes.
So what I want to say is that if we look at the way things have been going, Egosi, they know they have lost everything. They know they've lost everything, and so what they are doing with the French is to be able to cause a confusion, bring like a South Sudan kind of situation when we finally get to Goya. They are not interested, so to be sponsored by the French, and then with the help of Biafran people, they can bring in a militia to begin to fight the legitimate government. So
let me tell you something. That idea that when we get to Goya, we're going to have a Southern Sudan situation, it is not going to happen. Amazonians are fighting today because the morale is on their side. When we've taken back our country, what would people be fighting for? If Ayaba thinks he can then get money and get a lot of Republic Du Cameroon to join him, get the French to join him to fight against a sovereign country, then let's wait and see who will actually fight for him. It is not going to happen.
Okay. So this is what we should be preempting some of those things and looking at them, and already putting measures in place. That's my contribution.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see who else is on the line. Hello, Mr. Ocheba Nelson.
Yes, good afternoon, Secretary Chris.
Good afternoon, sir. Good to hear your voice.
Yes, so I want to thank you for bringing CC up there for that program today. And she re-echoed a lot of things that Ambazonians people have been thinking about Ayaba, La Republique. I just hope that people like Adu, Karim, Tumasan, and Sama, who endorse everything that Ayaba is doing, they should follow up that program. And because Ayaba is conscious of whatever thing he's doing. Remember, it is said, when the time shall come, Dr. Sako and Secretary Chris will not even get 10,000 kilometers to ground zero. You will not set your foot even on Nigerian soil, which means that he is working hand in hand with La Republique in that thing. So now it is time for all Amazonian people who have been out there pushing for collaboration. We cannot collaborate with people who are working against us. That is exactly what is happening. How is it that Ayaba can come and say refugees are not victims? I don't know if he wanted to talk about diaspora or whatsoever. So someone cannot come and say a refugee is a victim. They should not. It's not a victim. They should not give them food. So Amazonian people who have been there, especially the fighters and everyone supporting the ADF, it is good that you are hearing it from a different person. I mean, from a white lady. So.
Yeah, that is. Hold on there. I mean, that point is very, very critical, and I hope that everybody watching and listening takes this seriously. That information is not coming from the interim government. That information is not coming from any Ambazonian group. That information is coming from somebody who used his own money, paid investigators on the ground to follow up these stories. And the Ayaba connection. She was personally involved. She says she contacted Ayaba, and instead of Ayaba getting back to her, Ayaba sent Eli Smith to get back to her. And the agent on the ground who was investigating for them revealed that arms were changing hands between La Republic Du Cameroon and Ayaba. Not coming from an interim government, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming from a neutral person. All right, go on, sir.
Yeah, it's coming from a neutral person because when we speak. So I want to also call on those activists of the SCAF, those who say that they because Ayuktabe signed a memorandum of understanding with Ayaba. So everything Ayaba is doing, they are conscious of it, and that is the reason why they are against any international mediation like the Swiss talks. There's the reason why they say the issue of an Ambazonian government was a bad idea because they do not want to believe in any parallel institutions that will compete with La Republique. So I want to call Ambazonian people to continue to draft. If you have been, it is a good thing to do is come out there, you repent and then follow the right path rather than go and sit in silence and die because, or you just go out of the revolution, whereas you have not even liberated your people. So think of your own legacy. Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call, sir. All right, let's get to our other callers. Ladies and gentlemen, the calls are flowing in here. If I can't take your call, just know that it is impossible for me to take every caller. So if I can't get your call, just keep calling. Just keep calling, and may be able to get your call before the end of the broadcast. Keep on trying. Let me get to this other caller here. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes. Good evening, Secretary Chris.
Good evening, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from La Republique, Douala.
Okay, and what is your contribution?
Yes, I thank you for the program that has been going on ABC. You know that ABC is our national channel. So I really appreciate the work that you are doing, especially for the chairman for my country, GMC.
Okay.
I just want that you should remind him that in GMC, especially Ndu LG, my village, Lo. The fighters in Lo, they lack material things. Them. That is why that they are going. They are weak because I'm from Lo.
Okay.
So please, you should remind him that those fighters in Lo, they lack materialists, so they can, if they can remember them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the call. You have a great night. All right. Let's see who else is calling. Okay. The phone lines are now free. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, make your call. I got about 5 more minutes to call it the night. So go ahead and make your call. Okay, let's see who is calling. Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
So I can barely hear you. It's like you are far away from your microphone.
Good evening. Yes, I'm getting you. I am getting you.
Can you raise your voice a little bit, sir?
Are you getting me?
All right, go on. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling to thank you.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling to thank you. I'm calling from Mezam.
Okay. What is in your mind, sir?
Yes. I want to congratulate you for the interview you made with that lady about federation and
I think we have problems with that connection there. Let's get to the next caller here. Hello.
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 Yeah. Good evening, Barrister Chris.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the northern part of Amazonian.
Okay, and what is in your mind, sir?
Oh, yeah, sir. You're talking with one of the freedom fighters.
Wonderful. God bless you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, sir.
Okay. You have any other contribution?
Yeah, sir. We need arms. We need arms. We need more arms. Yes, we need more arms.
Which county are you from?
Bamenda, Alabuka.
Are you sure you are not ADF?
Huh?
Are you sure you are not ADF?
I'm not ADF, sir. I'm not ADF.
That is good.
Yeah, I'm not ADF.
Okay, well, I would say this. If you need arms, you need support, please. Every county, every LGA has a security team. I think they are the right people to forward your appeal to, because you send it to me here and I don't know you and I can't vet you. There's nothing I can do. So the best thing to do is contact your LGA or county administrators and relate your problems to them, okay?
Sir, the thing is that when you guys are up there, you promise us to send weapons. You don't send it. You don't always send all those problems. You don't solve our problems the way we need. What we need, you people don't always apply it from us. How do you want us to work?
Yeah, I'm asking you, have you directed your concerns to your LGA leaders? All right. He dropped the phone now. Okay. All right, let's get to the next caller here. Hello. Good evening. Can you lower the volume of your TV, sir, and focus on the phone? All right.
I'm on the phone.
All right. Where are you calling from, sir?
I'm calling from Victoria.
Okay.
Southern Zone.
All right. And what is going on in Victoria?
For now, Victoria is just school.
Okay.
Yeah. But I have a contribution to make.
Yes, go on,
from
please.
an observant standpoint.
Go
I
on.
just want to encourage the wonderful work we are doing and the wonderful work the president is doing, and to say those who are advising the president, they are doing also a marvelous job, and they should keep up with the work that they are doing, and people should not be discouraged, because one thing is very sure, I'm in ground zero, so I know what I'm talking. If this war stopped today and we are not the vanquished, we are not the winner, I tell you, people will die more than the ones that were killed by bullets. People are highly counting on you people. Ground zero is counting on you people.
You can trust that we are not looking back. We are as resolved as ground zero is resolved, because this is not just about ground zero. It's about all of us on ground zero and in the diaspora. Some of us may never have the opportunity again to come on ground zero if we're lost. So we will do everything we can to make sure that victory is on our side. Okay.
That's true, and I want to really seize the opportunity to thank all the wonderful activists, especially my wonderful Admiral Kemi Ashu, Linda Ambazonia, that we are following every day to get credible information that concerns the struggle. We are very grateful.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. God bless. Good night.
Good night, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll take one last caller and we'll call it for the night. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, good day.
Good day, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm calling from Helsinki, Finland.
All right, and what is the contribution?
Yeah, I want to first of all begin by thanking you for the wonderful interview you had with the lady. I think the lady has been very informative. The things she has said are things we have to take very seriously. One thing I picked out from all what she said, make I talk for pidgin. One thing we I pick up for all which way the woman talk, it talk about NGO. It makes statement say, now so NGO they prop up every day left and right. All of these NGOs are being created by the Yaoundé regime.
Yeah.
Then it talk about human rights whatsoever, say be trained by the B. I think say is the position of the interim government to go further to investigate that story, because we cannot, if you know Dave where this Dave we are quarter, say the person that they will continue the deal, because as long as I know, there are NGOs that do penetrate into the villages, into the hinterlands, and sometimes they reach out to the restoration forces to tell them we are coming. So once you have identified an NGO like the one which has just been mentioned, now place for interim government for investigation, and if possible address them a warning letter, say we'll not go cooperate with again, because wait till they don't talk, it's an allegation, and unless we prove ourselves innocent, we'll consider as a they don't talk about true. If possible, in the future, interim government will ban the NGO now our territory, will decide who for come inside. And being if you bring NGO can impose and we. So I want to end by saying that the issue of NGO where the woman talk, it be very important. If you look at this women's conference where the end for Yaoundé, all the more than 50 NGO them we never ever hear the name chairwoman, reach out, snot, this one. All of those women, all of those women them I take note. So one woman, they were EBB testimony for UN Security Council. The day where they began this hearing for Security Council, there is this lady, EBB now one of the organizers. There is also a lady, so woman, they were EBB one of the investigators for Ngarbo massacre. He to be there amongst the organizers. So now CPGM people, they are women, them go and contractor, and all them they come together. So we have to take this issue of NGOs very seriously, because what they are trying to do is to influence every outcome. If you read the resolution, the way they come out with that from that women's conference, I read place where they talk say the root causes of this problem be addressed. I know Siam. They say dialogue needs to continue to complement the major national dialogue. What it means say the so-called women's conference, they don't acknowledge say major national dialogue we don't hold. So any other dialogue where it come now for can complement the major national dialogues whatsoever they call it. So I think it's very serious. I IG took about take and very serious, because when conflict is, so we are heading to the negotiation table, all man go one show that time the ability, because you see the NGO, so the one can't show for play the no plans. We have to be very careful with that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you for the call. You have a great evening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of it for the night. I want to believe that you got something tonight. I look forward to being back here perhaps on Thursday. In the meantime, I wish all of you remain safe and strong and looking forward to the day of victory. Thanks for tuning in and good night.